Hey everyone, welcome back. This week's video is actually one of the rarer, maybe one of the rarest cat dozer models ever made. So let's talk about it. Okay everyone, the D5N. This is actually one of Cat's most rare models, or shortest production run models, maybe I should say. There's a lot of rare models out there, of course, but the D5N was only made for 3 years. It was the predecessor to the D5M, it's very similar in a lot of ways, but got a few upgrades. The cab has a few upgrades that make it very similar to the D6N. It's actually got finger steering, differential finger steering, which is kind of a rare thing these days. You don't see that a lot anymore, but it has that. It had a 3126, so it had a boost in horsepower. The D5M had a 3116, so they went to the 3126. It's had one of the first dozers that I remember that had System 1 undercarriage, which is on this one, which is Cat's proprietary undercarriage. I'll show you a better look at it, try to explain it a little bit better. These dozers, again, were only made for 3 years. They were kind of made in tandem with this dozer's little brother, the D5G, which was a low-track hydrostatic machine. The D5G was made till 2007. This one was made till 2006. This dozer kind of got replaced. The D6K came out in 2006, which was, again, a low-track dozer, but it had a little more horsepower. This one had 115. D6K had 125. D6K was hydrostatic. This one was traditional drive. Now, the D6K kind of took its spot, and the D6N became the next one up. The D6K was just a little more operator-friendly. Hydrostatic dozers, whether you like it or not, are a lot smoother for fine grade, and operators like them. Traditional drive is great in bigger dozers, but for fine grade and type applications, those hydrostatic dozers are hard to beat. So it got replaced. It was only made for 3 years. The D5M, of course, came before it, like we said, and they look very similar, but the D5N, this one has just a little more refinement, a little more horsepower, updated power plant, that kind of stuff. So we're going to look at it. I'm going to show you the differential steering on the inside, this fingertip steering. Again, that's kind of, you don't see that much anymore. I remember seeing it in, I think the first dozer I remember seeing it in was like a D10R, actually. So you just don't see it a lot anymore. It's definitely different. It takes a little bit of getting used to. I'll show you that. We'll show you the inside. The inside looks very similar to a D6N. And we'll take a good look at this dozer. And we're going to start a series on the D5 like our D6 series. I'll link it up here. And I couldn't think of a better dozer to start it with than the kind of rarely seen D5N. So let's take a good look at this thing. Okay, so I mentioned the System 1 undercarriage a minute ago. This was the first dozers I remember seeing it on. And what's really different about it as compared to a traditional dozer is the idler right here rides in the middle of the rail instead of riding on the end of the rail. And the bushings self-rotate. It was really a cool thing when it came out. And now it's become really common. A lot of the new dozers you see have this on there already from the factory. But when this came out, it was new and cool. I remember seeing it and thinking, what is that? Because it had these different links there. One's long, one's short, one's long, one's short. Idler right in the middle. It just looks different. But what it does give you on the front is, since the idler is sitting down in the rail, it gives you better visibility. So that was a new cool thing the D5N had compared to the traditional rails and tracks that are on its predecessor, the D5M. All right, here we are in the cab of the D5N. Again, this got the updated cab from the D5M. It got the newer style joystick that looks similar to the one in the D6N, and it got a few little dash upgrades. But the big thing about these is it still has the fingertip differential style steering, which is was kind of a short-lived option. Again, it takes a little bit of getting used to. You have this rocker right here, forward, reverse. Your gear shifters are these buttons, and you turn with your fingers right and left. Now, because it's differential steering with finger steering, it doesn't have the ability to counter rotate, right? You could bring your left track all the way to a stop and spin like that, but the left track will not reverse and go in a counter rotate style fashion, sort of like the D6Ks will with the hydrostatic drive. So that was just a little bit different. It's not bad by no means. It just takes a little bit getting used to if you're used to the other style with the lever that you move back and forth, or even the old style like the D8Ns that had the two levers like that for differential steering. So let's fire up the 3126. 3126 is one of my favorite engines, 7.2 liter. This one has 115 horsepower in this dozer. Let's fire it up and listen to that 3126 run. All right, everyone, there's a little quick look at a D5N. Again, these dozers are rare because they were only made for 3 years. If you see them around, take a good look at them because they're getting even harder to find. This particular one has done 20,000 hours and still runs amazing. That 3126 still runs great. And from what I can tell, just by peeking in there, it looks like it's the original engine. None of the bolts that you would normally take loose to take an engine out still all have paint on them. So I'm assuming, I think it's still got the original 3126 with 20,000 hours on it. So great, just phenomenal dozers, short-lived. Were kind of replaced by the D6K and the D5K, split that class. So these went away. But thanks for watching. We're gonna start a D5 series and we're gonna start with this one and see if we can keep it going. We'll see you next time.